Check the footnotes for very important information and make a donation to the 144.
What's up? This is Ande the Elf. Wake the farm up. This is a unique podcast that explores the conversations in the realms of permaculture, homesteading, and the lifestyles of those into that kind of thing on every level. And music. See, music can hook up the farms, and the farms can hook up the music. And you got culture. What? The conversations in this show are full of serious content, yet seriously funny and fun. Poetics and music are a potent part of this audio experience, bringing you the gardens of the mind. Some of the episodes are a unique live show experience with a live audience, so find out when we're doing one and come on down to one. Keep in touch, knowing we're going to reschedule the 144 Farms live show on the farm. It's a charm, feels great. Turn on the light. Yep. We're getting on with it here. We're looking forward to this show, sharing this with you today. It's coming out. It'll be here in the archives of history. Now let's go there.
Don't forget to mention if you wanted to learn more about us, you can follow us on Instagram at Wake the Farm Up. Or really, basically, you can go to www.com. Did I say the right number? www.com. I didn't even say the website name. Come on, I skipped that part. What?
www.wakethefarmup.com. Check it out. Now, let's get on.
Alright, come on, don't forget to tell them about the other things, too, like there's Facebook stuff.
Come on, we want to hear the show.
But come on, we gotta tell them stuff. We have to keep telling them stuff in the intro, like other podcasts, they have commercials and stuff and all kinds of fun things. So why don't we do some of that? Why don't we advertise some kind of thing that people can buy or something?
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do that right now. We're sitting here tonight with Obalaye of 144 Farms. Welcome, Obalaye.
Give thanks, peace, and blessings. Thank you and welcome to you and everybody. Thank you. I appreciate y'all for building with us over here at 144 Farms.
So glad to be here today, not in the capacity that we really expected to be, but we're still here.
Yeah.
The rain's working on the flowers coming.
Yes.
So, what we were originally planning was a nice big event here, but instead there's a whole lot of rain, and at this beautiful farm, it's 26 acres, right?
Yeah, all together.
Yeah, 26-acre farm. We want to have a nice sunny day, and we're going to have lots of people out, but we still needed to have the conversation. So, here we are, hanging out in your,
The shed.
The shed. Heck of a shed. My shed could fit 20 of my sheds in here, but
Yeah. This is the shed. The shed has been many things since we've been here. We arrived here in 2019. My wife and I and my children, is 8 of the children with us at the time in Oklahoma. My 2 oldest were here in Cincinnati, one at Cincinnati State, one at University of Cincinnati. And I'm in Tulsa. And at the time in Tulsa, I was going to school in North Carolina.
Okay.
I was in the North Carolina State University's farm program. So just working in that farm program.
But you were in Tulsa.
Yeah, I was living in Tulsa. My wife, she's a midwife. And before I met her, she was already into the field of midwifery. So after linking up with her, we've been traveling all over the world. So I was a traveler before we linked.
Yeah.
So, and we linked through a mutual mentor, and we met at his funeral, and or his memorial service, I should say. And after that, it was, we started building from there. And she would take jobs in some very amazing places around the world. We talked about the Arizona thing. Tuba City, Arizona was we moved to Tuba City, Arizona from the Virgin Islands. She was working at a hospital in the Virgin Islands.
That's a big difference, being surrounded by that much water.
Yeah. And you're at the beach every day. Every day. Because you just live on the beach.
Yeah.
It really is just like you drive down the street, you're on the beach.
And then you move to Arizona, and it's just all beach.
It feel like it. Ain't that a beach? But yeah, AZ, but landing in Tuba City was interesting because that's not like Arizona. Because, funny thing is, I've been to Arizona. We would go to Arizona in the springtime during the baseball season. And me and a group of my friends would assist athletes with different things of going from wherever they was moving from to go play spring training. So we would, gather up and meet in Arizona. And, man, I thought Arizona is beautiful, it's amazing. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So my wife get this call and say she's gonna take the job in Arizona. I said, nice. I said, where? She said, it's a place called Chinle. I said, Chinle? I've never heard of no Chinle, Arizona. Where is that? It's like northern Arizona, this and that. It's like, huh? So we look it up and it's a reservation. Okay. I said, wow. So that might be interesting, but I know Arizona, So we went for a visit, and it turns out in the city there is an area called Tuba City. This is in the south rim of the Grand Canyon, and it's a Navajo and Hopi reservation. And I don't even call it a reservation. This is like the Navajo and the Hopi nations, where they neighboring communities. Right in the south rim of the Grand Canyon. While in Chinle, which is just north of there, they needed more help in Tuba City. Well, we were saying we don't want to go to a city. We like this. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere. It's like, wow, this is the most amazing. But then the city opportunity, we just took it. She said, I'll just go help them there. And because they really needed help. So she went in, we moved to Tuba City.
What was she helping with?
Midwifery. Yes, she was delivering babies on the Navajo reservation. They had a hospital there, and the beautiful thing about their hospitals, and the story of getting there. So let me tell you this. So we come back so we could go visit the reservation. We land in Flagstaff, Arizona. The plane land, and I look out the window, and it's like 10 feet of snow, and I'm like, what's this, a layover? They said, no, this is where you get out. I said, no, whoa. I said, are we supposed to go to Arizona? They said, no, you're in Arizona. This is welcome to Flagstaff. I'm on the plane like, are you kidding me? It's like a trail cut out between snow to get us out to the reservation. Are you kidding me? This is not Arizona. I mean, I have on shorts.
Yeah, where's the endless beach at?
Right.
Yeah, the one thing I remember about Arizona, I only went to the airport there, and I had to go outside for some reason in the airport. I remember becoming sick because of how hot it was. That is the only memory that I have of Arizona. How are you stuck in the snow in Arizona? What the?
Northern Arizona, Flagstaff is a ski town.
I had no idea.
I landed in Flagstaff, and we drive out of the snow up into the mountains of Tuba City, and it was the most amazing experience of my life. We lived up there for maybe 5 years, But while I was there, we lived so I've been at a reservation like in Seattle. When I lived out in Washington State, I would have friends at the reservation, and this is part of like a suburb of Seattle to me, the reservation in Seattle. So even the natives that I would see out there are the people who lived on the reservation. Many of them look like what we would consider just a white person. So it was interesting. And it never dawned on me because I'm from Cincinnati, I'm from Brick City, and I have no idea about anything anywhere.
Like when you hear the word reservation around here, you're thinking probably something about some time in which you're going to meet somebody at a restaurant.
Right, exactly. So when I got out there to Tuba City, and they spoke their own language, like these people are speaking another language. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, the kids, everybody. Hold on, this is Arizona, are you kidding me? What did you say? Let me speak to you dumb Americans. Like, no.
Did you learn some of the language?
A little bit. You know, you have to communicate.
Is it Adani? Adani? Is that the name?
Dene. Yeah, Dene.
Dene.
Yeah, Dene.
That's the name for the Hopi people in their own language, right?
Well, it's...
Something like that?
No, that's the Navajo side.
The Navajo side, okay.
That's the Navajo side. And Dene is the people.
Dene.
You know.
The people.
And the Hopis, like I said, they all like family to me because number one thing, they love Rastafari.
Yes.
So I was the DJ. I was a reggae DJ at the radio station at the school. That was their radio station. So I would go in there and spin reggae on, I think it was on Thursdays. I would spin reggae music. And we had a little reggae shop out there with just mixed cultural stuff in there, man. It was amazing. Yeah, I'll show y'all some photos. But yeah, man, I loved Arizona. That was a good run, man. From going to taking people's stuff over there and running errands and stuff.
So you were there for 5 years, and it's neat. You and I just reconnected and are getting to maintain ground again. You know, we knew each other in our 20s, and you were making music. We ran into Jumpin' Funks in Cincinnati, and we sweated together. Too.
Yeah, man.
And it's really neat to be here in this time. You know, our future selves. You know, thinking about our past selves, all of it, right here, our present selves, and hearing like the stories and how you got to this place here.
Yeah, it was crazy when I went out there, you know, and sweated and went and sweat with them. And I mean, did a lot of the other things that, you know, for up to that point, I was totally ignorant to Native culture. You know, I had no idea about Native Americans, American Indians, none of this stuff. I just thought nothing of it. I grew up right here in this community, right across in what we call Brick City, you know, and for me, that village that I grew up in prepared me for every village that I visited in my life. So I went to a lot of other villages because even when I visit a city, my first words since I left Cincinnati was like, "Where's the hood at?" And I've been taken to some really interesting places by saying that. So I get dropped off in the hood anywhere I go. I've been in probably what people consider danger. I didn't ever take it as that because, hell, I'm a visitor. Hello, I'm from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You know. I landed in a camp of people who was Crips when I was on the West Coast. I had on Cincinnati Red stuff. And everybody would laugh, but they say Cincinnati because they know I'm from Cincinnati. I have no idea about red, blue, and you know.
Yeah. Okay.
It made no difference to me what color you wear. I'm from Cincinnati. I'm in the reds, and everybody just be like, Cincinnati. They was like, no, that's Cincinnati. That's Cincinnati. I didn't know what they was talking about.
How about them red buds? We were on down a trip, we were talking about the red buds, you know, how it's one of our trees that we can forage on right now. And you know, we were joking, but we were talking about the first baseball team around here before baseball was even invented with them red buds. Yep. Love them red buds.
Yeah.
I got to teach some kids about red buds today. Now I've been dropping my son off at daycare. There's a big red bud tree in their yard, so I've been going over and we've been eating them. And now the kids who live there are all excited, and all the like daycare kids are excited, and the mom is like, yeah, when I was a kid, we used to just eat off the trees all the time, but I didn't know about the redbuds, so thanks for teaching me about that.
I love that. I saw a lady coming over here harvesting redbuds off the street, like in a park near here.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was cool. It's like, hey, look, there's somebody that I don't know out foraging on redbuds right now. I love that.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Me too. And again, that's our roots, you know, as human beings, you know. And that's why I always say how important genealogy is.
Yeah.
You know, instead of learning just some people whoever thought did some wonderful things, it's like people in your own family did wonderful things. You know, everybody wasn't a crackhead. Shit,
Right.
you know, they act like everybody about it. No. Just look a couple of generations back, you'd be like, damn, grandma was fly.
For real.
You know?
Yeah, please tell us a little bit more about the National Historic Society.
Yeah, mention the fundraiser that's going on with that too. We've been sharing the links to that, knowing that that's something that will be involved with the farm here too.
Yeah. Well, again, when we got here, we left Oklahoma after I graduated from farm school. We left Oklahoma. My sister had passed away, so I came back to Cincinnati. And while I was here, I was taken by the spirit, like I need to be back here. I mean, I've been going around the world. I've been in some amazing situations. I've been helping people everywhere. I got to go home and help my people, my family, because again, there's too many people out here. Though I think gun violence is an issue in America.
That's right. It's not.
Interestingly enough, my family is dying from all kind of other stuff.
Right.
So it's not like the number one killer that I'm worried about. I'm like, what did you eat today? Let's just go over that. And let's just change our habits a little bit. You don't have to be an extremist. I'm not even an extremist, you know. So if I have a cup of coffee or beer, don't swear at me. I just like coffee and beer. You dig what I'm saying? So, but again, for some people, they're purists. They want the purest, the best. And I've been trained and hang out with these people, and I love them.
Yeah, that's, I play with that word, the fundamentalist, like I call those people the fun, dumb, mental.
Yeah, that's
love
dope.
Them. I love them as part of the, the experience of the ecosystem.
Sure. And I love
throwing away people's roasted cashews and stuff.
Yeah.
I've gone through my convictions and pushed them out, and they're really strong. Yeah.
And when we were young, like you said, when we was doing those sweats, before I even met native culture,
right.
We're already sweating.
Pulling it out of our air, like the spirits in the air were calling us in, like let's do these things.
And we were doing them and evolving in a way that prepared me to go anywhere and vibe. Like, cause I'm already from these beautiful streets of Brick City, which again, the most people, they be, wind hills, wind tears, lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
I mean, we renamed the whole neighborhood, right?
Sure.
I've not known what to call this neighborhood. Sometimes I love how, something often happens when something is loved a lot, it'll have a lot of names.
Mm.
Like snow in northern cultures often will have a whole bunch of names, more than just snow, describing all the different ways it comes.
Right, and places, I mean, they have their own stories. That's why I say you have to talk to the trees, really, or listen to the trees more than, but you do need to talk too, because it's an even exchange. So you talking for them, they talking for you. But you got to kind of relate to the trees sometime, because they got the real story of everything. That's where the real story is out here in this universe. And like I said, when you go somewhere, it's the same thing. So regardless of which hood, village, whatever, I found myself picking coffee in Mexico one summer, in a village called Tepanzacuoca. Same thing, I got there as an interpreter, interpreting Spanish for us. Again, I don't speak no other languages to this day. A little bit of everybody's stuff, but I don't have I've never got fluent, but I'll land somewhere and have to figure it out.
Right. So I remember I've been to Africa one time. I was in Spain, and I could speak enough Spanish to communicate there.
Yeah.
But still, I was recognizing in my head, I was hearing what they were saying and converting it into English. So there was this like slow process, all the internal voices processing it. Then I went to Africa, Morocco. There's a lot of people there that speak French, a lot of people there that speak Arabic.
Yes.
I met these French-speaking people on the boat going across. I spoke to them in Spanish, and then I was meeting people in Morocco that were speaking to them in French. And so, like, I'm communicating to somebody who is fluent in their mind in Arabic, but they're communicating to somebody in French who's communicating into Spanish, and me who's converting it in my own head into English, so I can come up with a way to communicate back. So very quickly, music was the music. We were just like, let's dance. We all knew how to say that word in multiple languages, and we just yell it out loud, and that's what we did.
Yes, that's, again, for me, it's body language.
Yeah.
I speak sign language all over the world. We all communicate. We all know the different little signs and symbols, and that's how I communicate. I do sign language. But that's my native language. You know, we did that sign language for years. And again, we still got codes and stuff we do. But again, that's again the history that ties all that together. The historical society, because I went to places and learned about other people's histories. Like I was saying, like you said, I'm having a Spanish interpreter interpret their language back to me in English, because I'm in Mexico going, they don't speak Spanish? And it's like, no. I'm like, what?
Right.
For the first time, I'm like, Spanish. Oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
So
even in Spain, like, most of my Spanish that I had learned before that was from Mexicans in Mexico or California.
yeah.
And some of the Spaniards there that I had talked to in Spain told me that I was using Mexican accents on certain things. I don't know, like, I couldn't mimic it now. It's been so long. Like, I probably have a whole different flavor to it in my Spanish now at this point. But
Yeah, like I said, I have to rely on body language. And then I love when they bring a kid out from somewhere. Everywhere I go, there's always a kid that knows all the languages. And I'm like, damn, that's awesome.
yeah.
You're 8?
Right.
Yes. Oh, damn, he said yes. He's the only one translating for everybody in the community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this become my homeboy, right? You know, you're going to show me around, tell me everybody. That's who communicating to me now.
Yeah, all of a sudden they could look at you and be like, I'm actually 800.
Exactly.
And you'd be like, all right.
Yeah.
I believe you.
We're in the role of play in the world.
So yeah, man. The historical society is really what led me to that. When I got here, was like, number one, I was born and raised here, in this very neighborhood, and I drove past these farms and never knew they were here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I live in this neighborhood.
I grew up around here and have been working with people on these farms since I was about 14.
right,
You know, and it's like, I've known Brick City.
yeah,
I've known people that live there. It's like, I didn't even know that's where you grew up. It's
Yes.
just now, honestly. I knew you grew up in Cincinnati.
right here. So again, when I tell people my passion for this neighborhood, that's what it's about. And then I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes who think they somewhere else.
Right.
Because you're still in Wind Hills to me. Now you can line it how you want to, call it how you want to, and I ain't mad. Because again, I always said, who the hell is Matthew Winton anyway? Let's talk about him. Who are any of us holding the name Winton?
Like, I mean, for me, Winton, you know, is kind of what it was. You know, I grew up in mostly Winton Woods.
Yeah.
You know, just up the hill a little bit, Finneytown area.
Yeah.
Which is another interesting historical thing.
Sure.
Cincinnati's first, like, European name was Fort Finney. Some, you know, European colonial guy coming through set up the first fort, and they called it Fort Finney. And
Yes.
that's
That's Ebenezer Finney.
Got that name.
That was Ebenezer Finney. Now his grandson, I should say, whose name is Ebenezer Ward. His name Ebenezer Finney Ward, but because of his parents. But he was like an orphan, I think, and he left the land that now they call Finneytown. He left that to his grandson. So when he died, Ebenezer died. He came in, Ebenezer Ward Finney, and he became, the one who then wheeled off some land to his son-in-law, which is now Wind Hills and Wooden Shoe Hollow. That was part of Finneytown in the beginning. What they considered Finneytown, because this was, again, during the time when they was just now surveying and kind of drawing everything up. This wasn't considered part of Cincinnati yet, and I saw one thing that said that's why they call that north side, because as far north as Cincinnati went. Then I heard it was north of some other point, but when you study in the history, you start hearing all the various stories, because then I got story from the people who live around here, and I've gotten stories. So again, I'm putting the thing together as a historical society, and we just been blessed to have an intern to come on board, a research intern. So we're going to really indulge ourselves in the history, because I believe that is what the problem is with my community, is that we don't know our history of the community. Firstly, we don't. Many of us, and I'm gonna take that for granted that some people do. I mean, some people know their family stories and everything, but those of us that don't, we need to invest in learning that. So then you'll have a new value of life in general, because everybody's story is so amazing. You can watch anybody who do the DNA stuff on TV or genealogy stuff on TV is captivating and fascinating. I don't care who they are. Because, again, somewhere you're going to run into somebody that was like, whoa, they did that. To fighting in the Revolutionary War and all that.
That excitement part right there is what it's all about for me, that they did that.
Yes.
It's like that moment where the past helps you know where you're going, which helps you celebrate the moment right now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I encourage for everybody to get somewhere to feel like that.
For real.
Well, I think it's really cool to hear you talk about that perspective, and it definitely makes me think of Alex Haley's Roots, of course. For those who haven't read it, and I loved reading at the end of it when he really broke down how he got into writing that story. He was able to trace his own family's history as far back to Africa, and was able to really imagine what their lives were like with just little parts of the stories, and then also being aware of American history from a Black perspective really gave him this huge capacity to piece the story together, to connect to emotion, and to help so many of us who don't necessarily haven't done that work.
Yeah.
To connect to the feeling. I know for me, a lot of times the way I conceive myself and the way as a Black person, it's really deeply connected to the work that other people have done. Because my personal family history, I'm not as aware of, but I can connect instead through Black history, and then I can start to piece together certain aspects of my history as well. It's I know I understand that my family moved at this time frame. Now I get it in the terms of that's actually the time period when a lot of people were moving out of the South because of Jim Crow and these just different sorts of things. Oh, my granddad was in the military in World War II, so that really, and then he came back and had a certain experience. It's okay, now I understand that experience in the context of Black soldiers who went over there and experienced freedom, and experienced being treated better in the war zone when they came back here, and then were degraded, lynched, do all kind of stuff. It's when you start to have a context of history.
Yes. Yeah.
Change for you.
And that's what, and again, the gift to me has been, and it's still young for the community. That means a lot of the pandemic disturbed our moves when we got here. We arrived in 19, and then in 20, everything was closed. So even just to get a bank account for the business, we couldn't. We did a lot of stuff online and then things like that. So again, we had to survive, and it's been survival mode since, because we would have had much more of this garden developed by now, but we just can't do it because we were juggling and having a big family again, which is that's the plan was. So it's I know that I have to sacrifice a lot because of that. That's the type of vibe I wanted, you know, because some people travel light, you know what I'm saying? I've never been a travel light type person. But again, that's why now I move different, because when we were younger and y'all, you know, when we were hanging out here, y'all were kicking it with me when I would go anywhere around the world at that time. Right now, I can't do that.
I remember running into you at a train station when we were both traveling. Like,
Yeah.
we just had our backpacks.
Yeah.
I think I was coming from California back to visit
Yes.
my grandparents. I think it was good that I did, you know, talking about, you know, historic stuff. Like, my grandmother actually passed away a week and a half after I had come back on that trip.
Wow. Yeah.
So it was good. I got to see her when she was smiling, and then, of course, traveled back again like 3 weeks later to come to the memorial.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I do remember that at the train station. We
were both just like
crossing it up.
That's our journeys together. We keep
Yeah.
having these bizarre like moments.
Yeah,
of
man.
Reconnection.
Yeah, man.
So, you know,
Yes.
it makes sense. This valley here keeps pulling me back into
Yeah,
it.
this is a very important valley, and the more I study the history, like I said, I won't try to give up the entire history, but we it's a lot that we have already discovered, and now with this intern, I think this story is about to be told.
Yeah.
Because again, that's the importance of the historical society, because that allows the trees to speak, and that allow people to begin to research. Because again, in communities like this where I grew up, they would never have a historical society. Even when I said that, people were like, what the hell you mean a historical society? What the hell you think I mean? What is a historical society?
Yeah.
So, and what was so dope, the woman in St. Bernard helped me set it up. So I was like, is there any historical societies around? The St. Bernard Society.
And they're right there.
Yeah, and the woman who assists me, her husband was deeply involved, and I think they might, they were elder people of the community. I think her husband might have lived there longer or was from there, and she came from like the East Coast. But they shared their story with me and taught me really how to set up this historical society. And it was, I really appreciate them for that. But it taught me a little bit about St. Bernard's history. And then again, like you said, this valley right here, they keep pulling you. And it's because on Old Winton, which is Renton Ridge, that's a Indian mound right there. On that road, it's an actual Indian mound documented.
Interesting.
Yeah, on Ebenezer and his information, he said there's this Indian mound here, and that's where he selected the place for the graveyard that's right there on Winton Road. Yes, yeah, that was for the Church of the New Light Order was the original plot owners of that land, because he dedicated that for the church, and the church was right there, and they built the graveyard right at the Indian mound, which was kind of controversial. Yeah, I thought that was beautiful though, because again, it made a marker for us that now we can research off that marker. Just learning all of the stuff about this neighborhood and why this valley keep pulling us back, and the story of the Ohio's people from this area, especially the old history, old America, the history that is gonna be told. It won't be denied. Real American history will not be denied. I don't care how many people lie about it or try to cover it up or for what reason they do it. The truth, because we knew that. We said we're going into the age of Aquarius. It's the information age.
Yeah.
Now, you can't take it back.
Truth has like a nature, like anything. The entropy, when it's mixed up, the truth will rise to the top. Just like when you mix in a little cream into your coffee, it all swirls around, and eventually, boom, it's up on the top.
Yeah, the truth will always come to the forefront. And I think America has a beautiful truth. I don't know why people wouldn't want to tell the true story of America. It's the real melting pot of the world since old history. It's a melting pot. That's not like something Europeans brought over here.
Well, yeah,
This
there's
was already
money.
a melting pot.
There's money in not telling the real,
Right.
real history.
And everybody's involved in the story, so it ain't like somebody get left out of the story, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I want to just like kind of bring out something that you mentioned about how people here wouldn't even necessarily want a historical society, wouldn't expect that. They were asking you, why are you even doing that? And like, that's systematic. That's part of the problem, is that, you know, there's been a long part of our history is that black people have been told,
people in America
you don't have a history, and people in general, there's no, if it hasn't been a written down thing, then it doesn't count as a history. And that's part of the system, part of the problem. You know, you hear stuff like states shutting down, banning books, all this sort of thing against Black history. It's because, I mean, it's all part of that, and it continues. Black people do have a history, and actually our history is a huge part. Like, if you exclude Black history from American history, then you don't get American history.
Oh, it's no did it.
You don't have a number. It didn't happen. It was not written down.
Right, because the skills.
It didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, the skills of our peoples, the skills of the oral traditions, like, were so beyond the written word that Europeans coming in couldn't even conceive. It's like to train the brain to be able to pass down your history orally, generation after generation, is beyond.
See, it eats me up inside because I just want to just tell what I've learned. And again, to me, one has to start decide what they for themselves, what they believe, because everything is written down forever. So as long as it's been human beings, we've made our mark on the world, and it can be read. And then what's so amazing about living today is that a lot of those codes have been broken. So now we can explain a lot of that stuff. At least imagine what might have happened. Where it was a time where people would look at some of this stuff and be like, what in the world? Now it's like, I'm breaking down a code here. And they are talking about something. Ooh, because human beings do that. We write shit down. We be like, chip that off. That's yours. And that's mine. So we've always done that.
Like 400 years later, it might look like squares and triangles, but there's still a code there, and it might have been, you know, it comes through. It comes
So like I said, I don't know. I know we don't have enough time for me to say all of this, but as we share this history, because it's so much to share, that's what the historical society is about. That's why we raising money. I've never, even worried about like, let's raise money for an organization, because I've always been in for-profit businesses and industries and served for no fundraising. I do the service I do to the world, and it don't have to be marked down. I don't have to go in the agency to get mine off, because I go where the people are. I say, take me to the hood. And I've been to different hoods. There's a different hood in Colorado and places I've been where it's still hood, but they don't look like me. So again, everybody want to, that this, when you tell the story, I think the way they teach America put way too much pressure on white people. Because it's just unrealistic. It's bullshit, and everybody knows it. And it's terrible to put people under that type of pressure, or hold yourself into that pressure trying to justify past lies. Let that stuff go. Let's talk about today and tomorrow if we have to. But if we're going to talk about yesterday, we can talk about it for real now.
Well, the big part,
because we have enough information out there.
The big part is being able to listen. If we are going to go into historics, are you with people that are going to be able to listen and share and take time to listen? Not like try to no, that's not really how history went.
Right.
It didn't go that way.
And then that's going to be always. That's going to be always. But the majority, that's like I said, once the truth is out, then the majority of the people determine it for themselves. Yeah. Because again, like I said, pre-colonialism, whites lived in America. But if you listen to American stories, they'll tell you they came on the Mayflower. And that was their first time they ever seen America. Ever. The people on the Mayflower, perhaps. But you think that's the only place white people hung out? Okay, you funny. So, but it's not enough people to make a story about it, because it might have been a few.
There's like an ethnobotanical story about nettles. There's a river nettle here that we call Laperty.
Yes.
And it's not exactly related to the Urtica dioica, which is the common one, which is more researched, which is like more often researched in paper writing again. But I think they're both very similar in property, but
even on that, there's a subspecies of the Urtica dioica, which they estimate has been over here for about 600, 500 years.
Yeah.
So other things like the chestnuts, the Native American chestnut that had been here. I've heard estimates that they might show sign, as the stories, of nature and biology tell the history of how things happened.
For sure.
The chestnut came over here maybe only 3,000-4,000 years ago.
Right.
So it's like the pawpaw, it came from the tropics, and over time, people trading things found varieties that were able to grow further north in the climate as the climate's changed too.
Sure.
Ice ages receded. People, migrations, plants.
That's what I mean when I say the trees tell the stories. When you listen to the trees, because people have to eat, people have to use fuel for their animals or they herd or whatever. You got to feed each other. You got to eat. So again, that's a story. It's going to tell you something about what kind of food is from there and how it got there and everything that you were just explaining. And I think that is, again, the beauty of what's unfolding today, because things were written down. A lot of black people don't believe that. Even, like I said, a lot of Americans, it's not just a black thing, it's an American thing, because the next trend is already in. So kids don't get chances to really bond with their story. And then a lot of the story been so mixed up that, again, we don't celebrate the stories because we think they're all lies, but because we don't know where the truth is, because a lot of the story has not been told. So again, some of it that you've heard over the time is, of course, the truth. It's the only truth we know, but the part we don't know is what's really holding us back from understanding that things are just a lot different than the way it's been told. And that's not even a white or black issue. It can turn into all different polar sides that America has produced over time, being the place that it is. Because it's the old world. It is arguably now, under the new information that's being exposed, is arguably the old world. It's probably the oldest world. I mean, when you're looking at a lot of the archaeology and science behind what came out of the water first, they saying that was in North America. What came out of the water first? Now that's a new debate, and that's new discoveries. It's things that, that the scientists are listening to the earth and reporting back these new understandings of where things came from and what people were doing over time. So again, and I'm just accidentally running into these stories because I said, let's start a historical society. And now the stories are being told, and I'm getting them on a highway, freeway, or so to speak, because it's like, it's so much that's been written that we'll never ever probably read it all. It's like it's a crazy amount that's been saved. A lot of history get burned out a lot, but a lot of it is preserved, and a lot of it is on micro, digitized now. It's like bing.
Yeah.
Hey Siri, bam, I'm hitting you with it. So a lot of the stuff today in technology, again, has provided for us to know and debate it deeper. Or what do you believe at that point? That's why I said it's not worth a debate, because it's really what information you have.
Please try again.
She heard me. She was like, did you call me?
Yeah, something is wrong. I'm trying to figure out the whole story, but it's not all quite there yet.
Are you smoking again?
We've talked on the podcast sometimes, even calling AI, like, instead of just calling it artificial intelligence, calling it ancestral intelligence, because it is kind of a conglomeration of all the stories that people have been able to digitize and add into that.
Yeah. Again, that's what we said. We're going to get to that point.
Right.
Hello?
Right.
I ain't think in my lifetime, but guess what? I was wrong. Because we're here.
We're here making more parts of the story.
Yeah. And that's the beauty. Like I said, we can make the story now.
Yeah.
We don't have to rely on one-sided information. You can hear so many sides of the story now that who knows what to believe. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
there's
the other
so much
side
out there.
there's the other side of that too,
Yeah. It is. But again,
I got some side.
the farm, the historical society, this beautiful community, because I am also working with the community council. Because everywhere I live, I do that. Again, if I'm gonna live there, I got to go down and see what the politics are.
Wait, are you on the community council?
I am.
I just left the community council a few months ago.
Yeah. I have to be a part of civic engagement at the eyes have it level. I mean, sometimes I'm overwhelmed with the idea of 30 million people doing anything, so I don't really waste my time on that kind of shit. I don't believe it. It's 30 million people. I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah,
it's too much.
I think only Moses knows how to handle that many followers.
So I stick to the very local. You know what I mean? I stick to the very local, and that's where I do my activism. You know, back when we was hanging, my activism was in my art. So I don't do poetry like that right now because I'm building more art. At the time I did poetry, people say, man, yeah, that's a nice stuff. I say, thank you, but it's really a side effect to the shit that I do. I start doing crazy stuff and I talk about it in this fun and rhythmic type way. It's a trip.
Yeah, I've noticed for me, like I've started to write more poetry recently and finding that I have a lot of content to pull from at this part of my life.
Yeah.
Just all the different situations and stories, different perspectives, you know, like looks into life beyond, my own way of being able to even look at it, and creating art and words through that, and finding time to be able to share that now and art in different ways has been fascinating. With the homestead I live on has been there for about 13 years, and it just provides food for me now. There's gardens around me, and a lot of the early work has gotten into it, and I'm able to get other people up and running and design and plan and how they're flowing and farm consults and whatnot, which has been an awesome thing to bring to people. Doing this recording with you right now, I really hope we get some funds raised for you guys and helps wake the farm up with the projects that you want to get going here. Like give a little jump start on it, And
I appreciate that.
That's a big part of what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah, you're doing it. Thank you.
Getting my brothers and sisters up, following their passions and their dreams, and doing these things, connecting the earth, and the historical society aspect that you bring into this whole thing is just amazing to me. Yeah,
give thanks. Yeah, I mean,
click on the link in the footnotes, audio listeners.
Yeah.
People in the balcony are like folding paper airplanes with dollar bills and stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate it, really, because again, what I see when I look out here, I see an opportunity for people to come learn about American history, which we all wrapped up in, especially again for Black people, because we've been told our story wasn't there, and it is, and it's well documented and it's so beautiful. Why would somebody not know this? That's why one of the main programs we got called "Who is Your Grandmama?"
I like that. That's a cool name.
It's a fly grandmama.
Yeah, I've been trying to learn more about my grandmother by the woods.
Listen.
Your grandmother's name?
Yeah, it was by the woods.
That's cool.
Now, that's this neighborhood. Like some of the people that live out here, I was just thinking when I was thinking about grandmother, I was thinking about Al Funky's mother, and just talking to her and knowing that she was born on these grounds, more than 100 years ago, and that's like, it always blows my mind just to just sit there and just see her do her thing still. And that's the power of this type of lifestyle, this community. And it was an intention out here, like the previous people who did farming out here was the Kettler family. And I've heard only wonderful stories about the Kettler family,
Okay.
People really love them, man. I mean, everybody who tell me about them. So when they hear that I'm out here wanting to garden, everybody's happy.
Yes.
Because everybody in the community was afraid that this was going to be another big development.
Yeah, Yeah, I
So-
mean, that's when I first pulled in. I was like, I hope he's not thinking about putting up a bunch of apartment complexes.
No. I'm just the steward. I'm not.
This is a beautiful land.
I would never do that. And I think that again, the universe don't want that because the reason the Kettlers, I mean, this was considered like prime real estate. You didn't have a lot of stuff blocking your sun, you know. So that's why they had a lot of plentiful garden. But again, during the greenhouse or hothouse era, you know, all of this was just greenhouses. So and again, we may get into some of that technology. You know, if the universe is open for that, sure.
Kind of like that kind of thing.
Sure, if you're gonna extend your season, you just have to.
We got the hookup on a high tunnel. We know how you can get.
And you know, again, now it's like for me, like most farmers in America, and the beauty of the farm system is that like it run neck and neck with like national security. You know what I'm saying? The farm bill is big. You know, because you gotta eat and you gotta do everything in working with the earth. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have some kind of relationship here. So agriculture is always the biggest thing in all societies because the land is what you have.
I know in the state of Indiana that I think 2 years ago I read this, that the hunting licenses and money that came in from hunting was actually more income than the government received from income from agricultural income.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what kind of like plants you're hoping that we'll be looking up at this farm.
Well, we're gonna stick to organic vegetables. You know, we're not in the USD program. Perhaps we might could get into that, but again, the most important thing is just that the type of practice you have in growing.
Yes.
You know, and I just believe in organic. I don't have nothing against conventional farming, but that's another life thing. You know, like they want to grow tons, woo, and I don't think you have to do that. And I wanted this to be more of an institution of learning. People come here, they learn, they look at this stuff. That's why I don't dig up the earth. I do everything above ground in bags and biodegradable bags. I don't even disturb the earth. I do a little bit because I sit on it long enough to stuff get under there and be like, woo, ain't nothing messing with me. They have a time of their life under that stuff.
I don't know. I know, like I've talked about it on the show before, how there was a black farming program at Agraria Institute up in near Yellow Springs.
Nice.
Recently had to shut down because of lack of funding. And like within, I was on the list. I was supposed to hoping to get into that program.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to hear, you know, that I know you said you went to college for farming. You got these 26 acres here. You have this wonderful connection to Black historic stuff. It's like I'm really excited to hopefully be able to wake the farmer up inside of some folks. Maybe consider a program like that.
Yeah, we got a program. We're gonna start orientation on the 29th of this month.
Of April?
Yeah,
Okay.
of this month.
Tell us about it.
It's our urban agricultural program.
Yes.
So what we're doing is, you know, our target is the hood. If anybody else participate, hallelujah. You know, can't be nothing but good about that. And the thing about farming is it just make everybody behave. There's something about plants that just sit there and stare at you like this.
Top.
It make you behave. It make you behave. You always behave on the farm. People come over here, I'm talking about guys who go for tough, come over here and have a tear in their eye. Just about the potential, like, and that's what I'm saying. I was denied that growing up. So I thought food came from Kroger.
Right.
You dig? But when I got out in Seattle and ran into them tree huggers, I said, damn,
I want to hug a tree.
wow,
He's like,
what in the world is this?
Well, people have an imagination, I think, about black folks that, like, we don't want a natural life. We don't want to have connections to the plants. We don't. And it's like, please understand that we have been denied that. It is not. Like, black folks reject plants.
That's why I say.
There, we love it. We hug the trees.
I tell all young
they're
people.
talking about these trees that are out here. You got like mulberry trees out here, which will be making some sweet fruits. And
And And not to say that everybody
Black
has been
locals.
denied that either, because there has also been a whole lot of black folks who have carried on the tradition.
Yeah.
So, but there are also a huge number of people who have been denied it. So it's really wonderful to hear you guys have that program going.
Yeah,
I'm like, you make me want to get right back on the community council as soon as I can get my life in order. I'm like, let's do some things.
Yeah. I
Get
mean,
that funding.
I love working with the community because again, I grew up there, so it's a different level of passion for me.
Yes.
But I just think it's needed for people in general. I don't care who you are. That's why I said, we hope as targeted for my community where I grew up, but hopefully others, our sister communities. Like I said, for so many years, people haven't had to come out here to do nothing. Have a cup of coffee, a beer, a burger, nothing.
Yeah.
They just drive right on by.
Yeah.
That's Winton what? Winton what? They don't even know. They don't even know the beauty they been driving by. I did it for my childhood up until adulthood. I left Cincinnati in 1989, and went to Seattle. You know what I mean?
One time in the late 90s, I hiked from Wooden Shoe Hollow all the way to West Cheviot without having to go through backyards or anything. I was in the woods the whole time.
Sure.
A couple areas.
I call that the green belt.
Power line belts, or whatever, like the little power line strips that get you to another patch of woods.
Yeah.
I had to hop over a couple of the roads. I remember sitting at one road, just kind of like eyeing the road, waiting for a moment for no cars to go by, and you see this van with all these kids, and they like look at me, and it was definitely one of those elf moments where nobody else knew I was there, but those kids, like, they were driving by the van, like, and then I just popped out and went across the road. But yeah, there's a lot of forest around here. Cincinnati does have some of the biggest metropolitan parks in the U.S. too. Just within the
for sure
urban areas.
Yeah, Windy Hills is one of them. It's a green belt. It's part. If you look at the satellite shot, there's a big green patch of land right there. This is part of it. And again, historically, this is a real critical valley. They grew a lot of grapes over here. There's a guy named Van Wormer. You familiar with Van Wormer?
I don't know about Van Wormer.
Have y'all heard of him? He's the guy who used to live over here. He's kind of, they call him the grandfather of landscaping, because he really got the first contract to do Spring Grove Cemetery. So he would bring like a lot of the people from wherever he came from in Germany. He brought them here to work out here in this fields out here. So a lot of this area was populated by these Germans who came on Van Wormer's strength to work for Spring Grove, and then they started growing their own little gardens, and this whole Wooden Shoe Hollow garden whole area just became like a real center for agriculture. And again till the 30s, and then the 30s changed everything.
Yeah, then it started.
They converted and started building apartments, and when the black people that moved here, a lot of those Germans and different people started moving away. So by the time I came along, like my grandfather and them probably came out here in the late 50s, early 60s, before Finlater was even built. It was just Winton Terrace, the apartments at the bottom, and then they built the apartments above that, Finlater Gardens. And again, these are gardens and terrace ideas, the farming community around here, to get farm workers and have them in housing that gets them to the farm real easy, And again, as the people was coming from the West End, the East End, and all the places where black people was populating Cincinnati at that time, started moving out here, that was a George Jefferson move. They was moving on up with Wheezy. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of young black couples who lived out here and started raising their families out here, my mother being one, and my grandfather and his wife and their children. Everybody had wives, and there was families out here. And I grew up during that era, so we slept with our door open. We slept outside. We did things that other kids didn't do. You would come through my community on school night at 3 a.m. and it's 10, 20, 30, 40 these girls jumping French. Little girls out jumping French. You say it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What is them kids doing? Somebody have a speaker outside. It's like a party. You either come in or you're not, because the speaker is banging through the whole community. So you can go to the house and go to bed, but the speaker is going. So, and I grew up on the corner, so there was like a lot of community and culture in that corner. So I grew up totally in the village. So, and I knew every single person on my street, every single person, every single household, every last one of them. I knew all of them, and all their brothers and sisters and their mothers and fathers. And then, like I said, then once the 70s and the 80s rolled around, they got crazy. It was like, no man and woman should be living here. Y'all making money, the rent gonna be boom. And everybody was saying, we ain't gonna pay that much for this apartment. I go rent a house in Forest Park. Here we come. It's like, no.
Well, and there's a whole lot with the highways and everything.
Sure.
But I'm sure you know my friend Gloria Stewart.
That sounds familiar.
Was she in her 80s?
Oh yes, I do. Yep, I do know Miss Gloria. She came to a meeting and she shared with us on one week. But this community has got a million stories. We're not, I am an artist, so I have written like 3 episodes of a script about this neighborhood, and I'm starting in current history, but is working its way back through generations of inhabitants that came from other places. Even the Native Americans used this area. This was like a pass-through, but where people settled, but they were more on religious stuff. Where you find the most mounds, those are more like monk communities and, high priest communities, because they're doing the life work in those areas, where other areas is more population and hunting and other stuff like that. But these neighborhoods like this was really like spiritual, a priest, the tribe of whoever following that preacher might have lived out here.
Yeah, I appreciate that you conjured back to that, aspect of looking and feeling and thinking about the land, like way beyond, like, written history. What's happened here. What are some of the things that help tell those signs?
Yeah.
What civilizations have been swallowed up by the earth?
Yeah.
And that, as a gardener, like working with people, a lot of times I'm having to reset stone paths.
Yeah.
It's like within a year around here, a stone will sink into the ground maybe an inch or two.
Sure.
It's like, what else could have sunk over it? How deep could have something sunk? How deep down is the bedrock in some places?
Yeah, which is why, for me, being a part of the council, that's kind of things we want. We want some LADAR out here, we want somebody to come and really do some scientific research with us, because there's amazing things under the earth all over the world. So we just need to tell our own stories, and not try to worry about everybody else's. Dig up your own where you're at and learn about where you are, because you don't have to come from there to know about there, because now there's a new respect for here that's being overlooked. I want to introduce to the community. Now, DB, just my luck, they would say, who gives a shit? And we don't care. Steal, And that's all right with me, because I was called by my intentions to do this and to tell these stories and to make an institution to house these stories like in any other important place in the world. And everywhere in the world should have one. It should be one in the Fay Apartments and their new name now. It should be one in the next community with their new name now. So I definitely respect Spring Grove Village for saying, hey, let's get rid of Winton. And that's why I said, who the hell is Matthew Winton? Who lived in Winton Woods?
Come back to this, please. Who the hell is he?
He had a fort. Fort Winton.
Okay.
Fort
we got
Winton.
Fort Finney, we got Fort Winton. Okay.
These dudes hang out here with their own forts and stuff.
Hell yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, Matthew Winton, like when people took supplies up here, they'll say, take that to Matthew Winton's place. And that's how Winton Place became a thing. And it was called Winton Place. And then they'll go over to Winton Place and take a trail, an Indian trail they called it then, which became Winton Road, but it was first called Winton Road because it came up here and went down that way up Winton Ridge. It didn't go up Winton Road, it went up Winton Ridge. And then these were big farms and stuff like that. And then eventually they made that design to go straight through and go all the way up to what we now call Winton Road, up into Finneytown.
Right.
Wow.
See?
So right when you're going up there, you know, something I watched over time was the valley in that area getting filled in.
Yeah.
Talk about underground civilizations and buildings and stuff. You know, just to play with I'm creative and artist, you know.
Yeah.
So this, you know, just so you audio listeners don't go too far with the crazy stuff I say, but here's a conspiracy I'm making up right now on the spot. There's like underground bases and stuff there. Who knows what's going on underneath that dump? You know, they quit dumping in there years ago, but they, you know, I think for a couple more years they let them dump like rubble and things like that there, like old concrete kind of debris.
Yeah. And I grew up watching that mountain grow.
It grew.
It grew into a nice mountain.
Now
That's
they
so
stopped.
amazing.
They kind of capped it off.
Yeah, they
It's
stopped.
Young forest growing
Yeah,
up on top
and that's
of it.
and I was in a report where they told us that the pollution was at what they consider a safe, rate, because the dump is no longer active, and therefore it was a brown field, but now it's green, so that nature has taken its course. And now you have animals in the neighborhood, which you would never have over here because it was bad water. They couldn't drink from the Mill Creek, but the Mill Creek Alliance has done such an amazing job at cleaning up this Mill Creek that animals are now drinking out of it. Fish are now swimming in it and things of that nature. So now you're seeing more turkey vultures, and you're seeing more coyotes and more this, that, and the other, and here go the deer. These deer look like horses. I was like, damn, look at that deer. Woo. And they literally would jump into the garden,
Right over that.
Like what?
8-foot fence.
And so I go out there, and of course they're gonna run and jump right back over the
One
fence.
thing I've seen happen over the last couple of decades around here, I've been hearing more people calling the Mill Creek by its Shawnee name. I believe it's the Shawnee name, the Makatiwa.
Makatiwa, yeah.
Which means dark water, black water, because the soils that come up and the floodplains and the lowlands near there are so dark, and some of the fluffiest soil that you find in the region, really.
Yeah.
I've stuck my hand in a lot of soil, traveling around the tri-state area.
Yeah.
For sure.
I do think we need to say a little more. Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. I also want to say we're on the unceded lands of the Hopi, the Ande, the Miami, and Shawnee people.
Yeah, and I have a ton of others that, again, when we get to this research, we're going to share this with you, because it's really important history. And again, I would definitely give it up to go into it right now. But it's to me, for these stories to be told, I think would change people's mentality first. But I think just coming and having access to a farm, and that's one of the things we're working on, is building an agricultural workforce, again, for the people in the community, because my hope is that we become a true agricultural community where we have work in there. A lot of people don't see the work and where the money is in small operations and farming, but everything today is branding. And I think a farm lifestyle in the urban environment is a pretty interesting brand for this community. And I think if, we sit down and really look at how to brand this community and how to use a workforce to deliver on all of this property out here, like who would like to keep paying to landscape or mow 13 acres? That's a crazy thing to do. It should be fields of food out here making money for this neighborhood.
Like, talk about mowing, you could have, somebody that's interested in sheep and wants to raise them.
We've definitely been talking
Right.
about that.
Yeah, so
then you'll have
possibilities.
a little place here, like this little room even could be like
Sure.
a shed, could be slanging really cool hats like yours. That's what I'm saying.
Give thanks. Yeah, and I be getting everywhere I go. I get them. So I travel somewhere. I don't know where they from now. It's, I had so many over the years, and some of them I love so much, and they just turn it into string. But I just got to keep rocking it because there's so much wisdom and energy in that crown that I got to keep it on my head. Even though it's taking its course.
Yeah, I've been wearing this New York hat for a little while because I used to have a hard time being a rural person. Where I've been to New York City a few times, and the couple of times I had gone there, it was not. There was just something about it that made me feel real uptight. But the last time I had gone there, I was doing work on rooftop farms, and I had a great time. I was just feeling the whole sky. So I got this hat there, somebody gave it to me, and I like folding it so it says New Yo. A little hard to carry. I don't know how it is right now, but I give it to New Yo.
Yeah.
My New Yo hat.
That's funny.
I can't forget where it came from.
I landed in the valley up in California called the Yolo Valley. You familiar with Yolo Valley?
I'm familiar with Yolo. I think we talked about it on the Divine episode,
sure.
Which is a couple back here now.
Okay, yeah. So one of my generals from the 144, because again, 144, that's the collective that built this universe. That's what I call what we have. We have a universe. And it all brought us all together. That's why the energy just keep bringing us together because we are the workers of the earth.
Farm up.
We are the workers of the earth. So, that whole vibe brought me out to California, and Zebra Killer was out there, which is one of the generals of 144. And he said, man, there's a guy out here, he got 50 acres of land, and he said, whoever work on the land can eat and live for free. He said, get your vegan ass out here and eat all the vegan food you want for free.
Start grazing.
All them children you got, you bring all you and your babies, and y'all eat this man out of house and home. I'll triple dog dare you. I said, okay. I called up the guy. And he's a dude from Liberia, Africa, who had been blessed the land. He had been gifted the land by one of the Silicon Valley millionaires. He was on the news saying he wanted to help some immigrants that was going through the war in Liberia come to America and work in the fields out in California in the valley. And he was gifted the land, 50 acres. And it was just like this. It was just like this, but bigger. Full sunlight. But it's out here up in the mountains in California, and this dude, he's a total organic farmer. He don't use anything.
That's a real Wake the Farm Up American story.
Yeah. And he started that farm, and eventually the people he brung over here got acclimated to American culture and walked off the farm and went into the city. So he put out a call. He put out a call. He said, is there anybody willing? And I said, I'm on my way. He's a preacher, so I said, I don't have to go to church now, do I? He said no. Funny, I was one of the only cats from the farm who went to his church. But I just wanted to make sure I didn't have to.
Ooh, I got a church connection. You know the folks over at Beloved Community Church?
I don't.
Reverend Nelson Pierce and his wife, Robin Wright. I'm going to have to connect you all. They are wanting to have this sort of liberation.
Yeah, where is their church?
It is at, I believe, College Hill. It's on North Bend.
Okay.
And they actually just recently got a church again. They had closed for the pandemic, but they're really doing, the work of liberation.
Yeah.
They work with the Homeless Coalition, the ACLU, all kinds of stuff. Reverend Pierce is an awesome activist. He was up in Ferguson for 3 months. With my brother Amy, he's an amazing person, and I know that right before COVID, they were wanting to start like CSA type stuff.
Yeah,
start providing for the community. So I'm so excited to be connected to you now.
Yeah.
Make more connections.
because one of the things we want to do is allow space for people to grow their own. Like, we got a program called Grow Your Own, Pick Your Own. That means you don't have time to grow your own, so you might as well get your little monies in and come out here and go ahead and pick what you want when it's harvest time. So, you know, you can always come out and we got different type of pick your own packages where you can had a grazing package, you know, where you come out,
I love that.
or you can have it.
Foragers.
Yeah, the foragers pass. You know, where you
do one little foraging workshop and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
You know what? You know, I know there's poison hemlock around here. A few other things that people really should know. But
Yeah. Again, I feel like that's definitely something we want to put a part of that program. Which is why, again, the universe is bringing us together to make this happen, you know, because you've been out here, you know, what to look at, and you're around people who know what to look at, and that's the connection I'm talking about, like with the farmers around here and the workforce. You know, we can get past all of the old mess and move to the new, so that there should never be anybody that live in Wind Hills who don't know something about this farmland, at least as a place of to go to work. You dig? Because I don't want them just to think that that you can own your own entity within the farms that's out here. You know, if you're making a product.
Like that's what I love. You just dropped it with making a product. You know, like people get to have that experience. You know, not just coming to work, but like seeing that they're producing.
Sure.
And a lot of times, like in this modern day, wherever we're at, you know, people are really made to feel like a consumer.
Yes.
And sometimes, you know, like when you start realizing as you watch the truth of story coming to the top, you don't want to be just a consumer. You want to be producing. You want to be, if your body's fit and able, like you want to be out there helping for those who aren't.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to, like, when you're kind of speaking of the workforce, like, it's so important to have that sort of thing, especially when you want funding, that sort of stuff. It's important to state that, like, this can create jobs for people, this can create skills for people, but also what it can really create is, like, a empowerment. You know,
yes.
Like it could be a job, or it could be somebody who is going to go and start their own farm, their own homestead.
And it could be a healing element to it as well that I want people to take serious in America, not just in my community, because mental health issues are prevalent among Americans. And it's because, again, there's a lot of, I was going to say smoke and mirrors, but there's a lot of, you know what I mean? So, again, we gotta really challenge ourselves to get through that, because we're in a new age now. We're in a new era now, and you don't have to worry about that old stuff. We get to learn about it for sure. We could debate it for sure, but at the end of the day, let's look at what we know now, and let's look about where we going, where we gonna take this. What's the next phase? And my thing is, the next thing involves you having a relationship with that like I said, that grass that's looking at you, because it's going to heal you. It's going to make you listen different. It's going to make you feel different. You're going to look at something that's totally reliant on what your working relationship. Because the beauty of all of this is that you can leave and then nobody have to water those trees. They still green.
Watered.
Huh?
Like earth waters them.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling to have other species, plants, and animals around you looking at you and just reminding you you're safe.
Yeah, man.
You're cared for. You're provided for. Come interact.
Yeah.
I think that's a genuine thing. You know, I'm like looking at the plants this morning. I was walking by all the plants and saying a little homage to them. Like it's real true. Like it is. I genuinely feel supported. I feel like, you know, it's like I know that I will never go hungry on this earth. From what I have learned from these plants.
As a young man, for me as an artist, you know, running around, I quickly realized like how to not be a starving artist that I heard about as a child. You know, you always hear about the starving artists. You know, they're out there painting with like rocks they ground up with, you know, their mortar and pestle, and they're painting. Nobody finds it until like they're dead 100 years later or something. It's like that's the way my art career will be. I was like, I don't want to be a starving artist. So like when I started learning about foraging and growing my own food, it's liberation.
It is.
Get to that place where you can make your art.
It is.
Not worry about those basic things that, you know.
But see, for me, it was a mindset. Because coming from the city again, I'm like, what time is it? It's time to go to McDonald's or whatever, as a young man.
Special, $3.99.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so this has been so awesome. I feel like, I hope everybody hears the mission, the dream, the possibilities here at Waking the Farm Up. And I hope that everybody contribute to 144 Farms, contribute to our show, Wake the Farm Up. And we're going to continue down this path, continue building and growing and maintaining ground. And I can't wait to follow up with this conversation in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here with us.
I appreciate y'all for being here with me and the plants. They love it. They thankful.
Let's all give a hand for Obalaye for being here with us.
Yeah. Good, thanks.
Honor the feeling they know that they have. This is the life, moment is given.